Hello and welcome. This is the All 12 Signs video series for the Leo full moon, which is happening on the 25th of January 2024 at 5 degrees and 14 minutes of Leo and Aquarius respectively. This is a big moon, the first moon after the Pluto ingress into Aquarius, and it just so happens to be in the opposite sign of Leo. I will be reading for Sagittarius and Scorpio in this video. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel energies through my body. As you can see, my hands are moving around right now. This is a form of light language. I've been doing this for nearly 3 years. I've recently had a vocal light language activation. That was very recent. I'm still integrating that. So this is drawing in energies from different dimensions to help us heal, help us clear stuck energy, and open up portals to source to get us in alignment with our soul's frequency. Activation codes coming in, reinforcing of the higher timeline. Even if you're not consciously aware of what's going on, this is still helping your energetic field and your current vessel in alignment with your higher self. For those of you who know your time of birth, I really recommend you check out the sign that falls in the first house. This is called your rising sign, where your ascendant is. The astrology will be as if for each of the signs as if they're in the first house. However, this does not invalidate you looking at any other part of your chart. Perhaps where your moon is or your sun. We are dealing with a lunation here. Just look to wherever that falls in your natal chart. Look to the house that it's in and the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Blessings of peace and joy to you all, and I hope you enjoy these readings. Sagittarius rising. How you doing, Sagittarius? For those of you tapping into the Sagittarius energy and it doesn't fall in your first house in your natal chart, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Say you've got Sagittarius in the 6th house of how you work, health and routines. Apply those themes. Say you've got your sun there, the vision, the clarity, the purpose. It's as if all of that meaning of that Sagittarius part of your chart, astrological points, celestial bodies, themes of house, have now all moved to the first house. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. For those of you who didn't watch the introduction or may not have caught the last, I think it's the last 3 transits that I've done. So I've been channeling energies through my physical body for the past 3 years. This is a form of light language. And I've recently had a vocal light language activation. I'm still integrating all of this. So this is all going to be coming through in the readings. Whether you're consciously aware of what's going on doesn't matter. It's still activating your light body, and activating and clearing energy in your vessel in alignment with your higher self. Sometimes I get words of translation come through. Other times it is just confirming what I'm saying already. Or just doing its own thing. So it's all part and parcel of what I do here on the channel. Right, Sagittarius, regardless of whether Sagittarius is your rising sign or not, Sagittarius and Leo trine one another. You are fellow fire signs, you are brethren, you are kin. So we've got a trine aspect to your Sagittarius energy. Trines are an aspect of Jupiter. Jupiter wants to bring things together in order to expand. It elevates, it brings wisdom, a sense of deep truth and knowing, and with that a confidence, a joviality, a generosity, a sense of luck, abundance and opportunities. Now there's a free flowing energy between this moon and your Sagittarius energy. You're both fire signs, you're both yang in nature, but you're different modalities. Sagittarius, you're mutable, Leo is fixed. So there's a real ease of translation between working working with the mutable and the fixed energy. So this is where the elevation comes in. This is where it's a soft aspect, it's easy, it's free flowing, it's very supportive. So wherever Sagittarius falls in your chart, you're getting this supportive, wisdom orientated energy. I'm pulling cards for 3 different piles. The first pile is the lead up to this full moon. I work with 6-month cycles, so this is the energy of seeds that were planted around the new moon in Leo last year. That was a big new moon. It was square Uranus exactly. Uranus is very liberating, independent, maverick energy. More looking to the future and wanting you to be in flow. The sun and the moon were conjunct Lilith, and Lilith is also incredibly independent energy, of wanting the self and the other to respect one another, to honor one another, to be free to be themselves, but also come together, right? She doesn't like hierarchical structures that don't make any sense, or hypocrisy where one energy is doing a thing and doesn't allow the other energy to do that thing based on no reason whatsoever, right? There's no legit reason, or a judgment of others when you do that thing yourself. Lilith is not a fan. Venus was also retrograde at the time of that new moon in the sign of Leo. Retrograde Venus is very independent. She's breaking against conventional traditions around your heart space, right? Leo rules the heart and that light that you bring in. So that whole Venus retrograde was helping facilitate new pathways of deepening our connection to our heart space. Leo rules the heart, the generator of the sun within us. And so that would have brought up, with all that independent energy, would have brought up some energies that needed to be discombobulated, right? And broken up and transformed. So that may have been old cycles of connections to love. And how do you value yourself? And these things will have been bubbling up over the last 6 months with that new moon, in order to bring in the independent, respectful, honoring energy of that new moon. So that is the first pile. So it's everything you've been working on over the last 6 months. The second pile is the energy of the moon itself. I work with 6-month cycles, as I said, so I focus on what energy download, what activation codes we get with lunations, which will then unfold over the next 6 months. So if you're watching this after the event, you are not missing out on the messages coming through. So this is a sort of a culmination energy, both of potential difficult, discombobulating energy, as well as a celebration of everything that you've been going through. We're kind of wrapping up the retrograde cycle, because the imprint of Venus retrograde at that new moon would have carried on over the last 6 months. So you may have been really revising and looking over and bringing depth to your understanding of the heart space in relationship to the qualities of Venus. What was I saying? And so this full moon, this energy on pile 2, the baseline for that is the collective reading that I've done. So I break down the astrology in way more detail. There's a lot going on here, and I'll touch on the key themes in this reading, but there's more going on. And so this is where it's the narrative in which everything is talking to each other at the time of the full moon. This is the energy download that's coming through. I pulled a collective tarot spread, and that blew my mind. The way that the energies laid it out and the cards that came through, there was so much symmetry and such clarity with it. Very, very powerful stuff. So if you want a deeper understanding of how this moon is showing up for you, do go check out the collective reading. And the tarot that will be in pile 2 will be the layer on top of that collective reading that's in relationship to your Sagittarius area of your chart. And then if things come up about what might be cropping up around the full moon, I do always say them, but mostly it is, what is the energetic frequency that's being downloaded into your vessel and then unfolding? The third and final pile is how all of this energy is manifesting moving forwards. So those are the 3 piles that I'm shuffling for today. Right, so Sagittarius rising, where is this happening for you? Again, very supportive moon for you, Sag, and this is happening in your 9th house. This is the house of the gods. This is about your perspectives, right? Your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, how you connect to book religion, source energy, spirituality, nature, science, whatever it is that's a matrix that's bigger than yourself, that you're figuring out your place within it. Ichani marushini mindetani marushini tatini marufa ufa 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 ufi nichini marishini matufi itini marufatina itini marufa ichatini maritini marufina mutushini matisana. They're just doing some work with that mask card, all these oracle cards here. I pulled them before doing the collective transit video. There will be a separate oracle reading after I finish this transit series. It's likely to be after the event of the full moon. The full moon is tomorrow. I got a bit carried away with the Pluto in Aquarius series. Do check that out. That's very important. That's very much linked into this full moon. And I've sort of run out a little bit of time to get all these videos out in time. But as I said, I work with 6-month cycles, so this is all part of a longer term unfolding. And you know, the mask card, I feel like it's both clearing away misconceptions of how you see yourself in the world, Ichani Marusha, the universe, Ichani, your connection to it, as well as bringing in a new activation code of a new mask that's more in alignment with your soul's frequency. And now clicking over the sustainer card that will sustain you moving forward. So the 9th house, as I said, perspectives. It's all about perspectives. You know, the matrix of how you map yourself out in the world and how you want to see the world and see the universe. It's also linked into learning and teaching. It's often mastery of something. And so there's an element of something that you've been working on coming to fruition and completion. Or having the idea of you want to head into a state of mastery. The amount of times that this card has shown up first is ridiculous. This card came up for 11 out of the 12 signs in the Pluto in Aquarius season cycle. Now, this is Aquarian energy, and this is significant, and I'll talk more about the astrology later, because we've obviously got the sun in Aquarius, and Pluto's involved, and there's a lot going on. So there's a balance here between the Leo and the Aquarian side of your chart. Right, so perspectives, learning and mastering of something in order to then share your perspectives. We're not here to try and change people's minds, let them do that for themselves, but to provide information for them to explore and get curious. It's also about going and living somewhere that is unfamiliar to you for a longish period of time. It's often linked into foreign travel in order to go somewhere, immerse yourself in a different environment in order to broaden your perspectives. But say you've lived in a town your whole life and you decide you want to move to the countryside in the same country. That is still the 9th house energy. It's all about perspectives. And your understanding of who you are in relationship to the big ideas, the big whys, the big questions. So we have a full moon here, and that can represent a couple of different things. I see 3 main themes show up around full moons. If you've got any other themes that I haven't mentioned, do put it in the keep saying comic box, comic book. Superheroes. Activating frequencies that are beyond our 3D reality. Pulling down perspectives to infiltrate your light being and see how you are a part of a bigger, stranger universe. Right, so three things that I often see show up around full moons. You may get all of them, you may get none of them, but I always want to preface this because full moons can be a bit tricky. They're also wonderful. You know, everything is the nuance of the universe. So the first thing is trigger time, right? Police stations, hospitals, schools can get, and the collective at large can get really rowdy around a full moon. And why is that? Well, the full light of the sun, our conscious mind, our clarity, our vision, our purpose, our will is pouring over the whole of the moon, which is our unconscious, our intuition, our emotional body, where our needs being met or not being met. How do we nourish ourselves? How do we receive nourishment and give nourishment? Now, all of these things can get triggered, right? So not seeing yourself, you're feeling your needs aren't being met in relationship to your perspectives. Distorted emotional connections to understanding who you are in the universe, distorted intuition about perspectives, not feeling nourished by these perspectives, right? And feeling a bit hollow. Often other people may get triggered, so they may get triggered by you sharing your perspectives, and if you're finding you're not around like-minded people that bring that into balance, or at least around people who have open minds. They don't have to agree with everything that you say, but maybe a frustration around that. Something may get triggered around this time, and I see it as an offering from the sun and the moon to help reveal something in the shadows, something in the unconscious space that you may not have been able to come across for maybe a year, couple of years, this lifetime, next lifetime. And so this is an offering in order to help us then understand what we're going to be integrating over the next 6 months, and sitting with, giving love, trying to figure out, where does this come from? Is it really you, or is it conditioning? So these things might get triggered, the sort of a lack of visibility in how you think and believe, and whether that's received by others. The second theme is often when we've done some integration work, some inner work, we can often do it in the mental sphere, and then not have the opportunity to integrate in the emotional and physical body. So the sun and the moon will come along and provide a situation that may be linked into a trauma or a limiting belief. It does so when you're ready to face it, right? So and something may come up and you may be a bit frustrated, being like, oh, I thought I worked through this. Why is this showing up? And it's doing so in order for you to walk through it, and for you to realize at the time and also afterwards, oh, I'm not emotionally connecting to this, I'm not getting triggered, and your physical body going, oh, I feel safe, I feel okay, and you come out the other side and you're like, okay, right, this isn't bothering me in the same way. So it's letting you know that you've done the work, but now you just needed a situation to walk through to fully integrate and clear out the tendrils of energy. My whole body's sort of wiggling. I feel like the tendrils are coming out. Being pulled out by the tail. Then over the third eye of being able to see your place in the universe clearly. To give yourself grace and ease, let your light shine. Having Leo there is definitely seeing the love in the world and wanting to bring that and bring that light to others through your perspectives. There can be inflated ego around Leo, just because it's usually when that Leo energy hasn't been seen. I always say with that Leo energy, if it is feeling distorted and a puffed up ego, turn that light inward. Don't seek it it from the outside world. It's a social sign, so there's an element of wanting to be seen. Draw it inwards, let that generate, and fill up your light body. So then it's not really bothering you if you're not seen, if your perspectives aren't understood. You are still doing you. You are still moving through the world from your own independent energy. Bringing in the element of play. More into your understanding of how you see yourself in the world. Right. So there may be a situation where you're having a conversation with somebody about perspectives, and they really disagree with you. And before, you might have wanted to try and make sure to convert them, right? And in this case, you're just like, all right, let's just have a conversation. It's not diminishing your understanding and your value you put in your perspectives if someone's not agreeing with you, right? So it's allowing that space for you to be you, even if it might be a bit annoying when you're coming up against someone who's not even prepared to give any kind of interest in what it is that you're saying. Right, the third thing is celebration, right? A completion, an illumination, a high frequency of intuition, a fully flowed embodiment of your emotional body, your needs being met, you meeting the needs of others in lovely harmony, you feeling nourished, able to nourish those around you. Great full moon energy, right? So with full moons, we have a completion of the last cycle, and this can be, as I said, clearing out some difficult energy as well as bringing in some more integrated expansion. And then we'll have a download that will be taking activations of all of that will then move forward over the next 6 months. Now, this is all trining your first house of your embodiment of self, right? How other people see you. So there's a lot of wisdom coming through of making sure that you are confident and comfortable being yourself, right? And not being diminished by visibility in terms of perspective. And also, what I'm really getting is a new download coming through, a new activation that is then feeding into your embodiment of self, that you're going to be very quickly being able to walk the talk of this new activation. Now, with a full moon, we want to look to where the sun is, because the sun is often highlighting something about the full moon, because the vision and the clarity and the illumination of the sun. And the sun is over in your third house, and this is the house of the goddess. This is where we bring our big picture philosophies and perspectives into our day-to-day. It's about your environment, it's about your day-to-day, your local community, and it's finding meaning in all of that, and finding meaning in the small things on a day-to-day basis, and recalibrating your environment. It's also about the way that you communicate. It's the lens in which you communicate through, and this is the sign of Aquarius. Now, I just love that we've got this full moon in Leo, because in those Pluto and Aquarius transit series that I've done, I called on everyone, like, if Pluto's really intense, okay, and I'll get to Pluto, and it can bring up some difficult energy, and like I said, lean into Leo, lean into the heart space, right? In order to bring the Aquarian Leo axis into balance, you want to look to the future, more sort of utopian energy, operate from a space of integrity that's activating that via your heart. Your heart is so powerful. So the sun is in the sign of communication. So there might be, as I said, there might be somebody who comes along and might be a bit disruptive and isn't understanding how you communicate, or isn't even prepared to listen, and you're not bothered. And so you release that need to be heard, and bringing a deeper sense of independence to self. We might also find that sort of an expansion of your perspectives may come through by going out in your local community and meeting someone who's providing wisdom, and download codes. You may find more clarity in the way that you express yourself, that you see an enhancement of you being able to bring those perspectives into the way that you communicate. Also a recalibration around your environment in relationship to these new frequencies. And now this Aquarius Aquarius energy is sextiling your Sagittarius energy. A sextile is an aspect of Venus. So we've got Jupiter and Venus aspects all to your first house. Very supportive, very nourishing energy. The sextile wants to bring love, appreciation, value, creativity, ishani, more sense of connection to the way that you communicate and this embodiment of self. So I just feel like a real clarity of understanding who you are and what it is that you need from your day to day. Now, the sun and the moon are only making two aspects to the rest of the chart. The first aspect is Pluto. So Pluto this is shown up for nearly everybody, which is beautiful, especially given the fact I'm just talking about Pluto and it can be very intense. So Pluto and the sun walked hand in hand into the sign of Aquarius over the weekend. And Pluto is about the cycles of life, death and rebirth, transformation, creation and destruction. And so it can bring up a lot of intense energies around our lack of ability to find ease with change. So this brings in control, fear, possession, obsession, the taboo. All of these things can get raised up. Controlling others through your own power in a sort of a tyrant kind of way. And so with this full moon, the sun, you've got some clarity with the sun that is helping facilitate transmuting this energy. So these oracle card readings, before I sat down to do this transit, I tapped into the energy and I found joy, love, laughter. The light of Leo. And yet these cards, there's an intensity here. There's a real, it's a beautiful message, but I was generally quite surprised that it's saying that there's some intensity and big energies that need to come up in order to be transformed, and these things are going to get transformed quite quickly. So there may be difficulties around expressing yourself. The desire to control what you communicate and like obsess over how you express yourself. Perhaps being a bit sort of stubborn in the way that you see the world and not allowing other people to have a place at the table. Of pain over not being heard. And your environment as well. It's like the frequency you surround yourself with. Perhaps there's been difficulties with that. And Pluto's bringing all of that up. It's linked into schools as well, so any sort of trauma around school, of not being heard, of being separated from the tribe. May come up during this Ichanima in order to be released and transformed. And what this transformation is helping us tap into a new universal truth around the heart. Deepening our sense of that heart energy and how we find joy. So Pluto's bringing some intensity here with this very big full moon here, and so this is all activating, like, lean into the release. That will bring some ease to what may you may find yourself in sort of an explosive situation in your local community. Also the struggle around putting meaning into the day-to-day. They're sort of Aquarius can be quite cool, calm and collected, can be very detached, and I feel that Pluto's helping revolutionize that by bringing in that heart space. Now the other aspect that the sun and the moon are making is a square with Jupiter. Jupiter's over in the sign of Taurus, which for you is in your 6th house of work, health and routines, and so we've got this very powerful activation here. We are building now, we've got the sun and the moon opposite one another, and then we've got Jupiter over in Taurus, and this is forming a T-square. And the release point of a T-square is the bottom of the T, where Jupiter is. Which is why I'm feeling, I was kind of surprised at the intensity of this energy, because I really wasn't feeling it, connecting to it. I've felt it in the lead up since, and it's then sort of dissipated. Pluto has the ability to make things big and then small again. And the reason why I think I wasn't feeling it so in like, whoa, this is going to be really dramatic, is because Jupiter is anchoring this. And so Jupiter's over in your 6th house of how you work, right? The lens in which you work through, your health and your physical health and your routines that you put. It's the adult in the room house, right? And sometimes we can be a bit neglectful in this area of our chart. Jupiter was retrograde for a while, and Jupiter represents the bringing together in order to expand, a sense of elevation, of wisdom, of confidence. And there's a real sense of knowing and faith. And there's a generosity and there's a joviality in the sense of luck and opportunities with Jupiter. It's one of your rulers, Sagittarius risings. And so that may have all felt a bit restricted around work, health and routines, this sense of going inward. And now Jupiter's direct, so we're feeling more abundant, we're feeling more able to tap into ease, and finding wisdom in these things, right? Jupiter is the teacher, is the guru. So we've got this square, which is T square, but its squares are an aspect of Mars, so they can bring up conflict, drama, frustration, winning at all costs. And this is why we've got a two-pronged effect of things being bubbled up in order to be transformed. And then the other side of this, so there may be conflict and drama about being seen, about the way that you work, right? And how that's manifest in your vision and how you see yourself in the world. It's also co-workers, the 6th house. So there may be something cropping up on your day-to-day where you're just feeling like you're not visible, in order to bring this up to the surface and clear it out and learn the lessons very quickly because of Jupiter being at the focal point. And also the conflict. Do you need to win at the perspective game? Can you release a little bit of control here? The other side of a square is movement, momentum, action. And this is friction. Without friction, we wouldn't have atoms rubbing up against one another in this linear 3D time dimension that we're very consciously aware of. So this is big manifestation energy. So the trine and the sextiles are soft aspects there. They want to give us a hug rather than a challenge. Very inspirational and flowing. We can take them for granted though, because they feel so at ease, right? Squares and oppositions, these are hard aspects. So these are ruled by Saturn and Mars. They can involve some more challenges, but they are forging us in the fire. We are building here, right? Manifestation, for the long term. So one of the guides that I have with me, who I'm channeling, that vocal is sort of the very forthright, strong energy, is sort of this earth manifestation energy and protection. So, I love how that's showing up when I'm saying building. So Jupiter is helping expand your ability to really embody your work, expand your ability to take care of your vessel, and therefore be able to put in the work for whatever it is that your soul is desiring to do in this incarnation and you're co-creating with. And this is squaring your perspectives. This is squaring how you communicate. So this is how you communicate your perspectives is then feeding into the way that you work. So it's basically practicing what you preach. This can bring in new perspectives around your health and how to take care of it, as well as finding a deeper understanding of what routines work for you. Finding that meaning in your day-to-day, giving you the strength of character and the clarity to then embody that meaning in the way that you work. So Jupiter is expanding this, it's bringing wisdom and a sense of elevation to what's showing up with this full moon. Now, those are the main aspects. The sun and the moon aren't really making any other aspects to the rest of the chart. So we want to look to rulership. So whatever's going on with the ruler of a sign is impacting the sign that it rules. The sun rules Leo. So where is the sun? Well, we know where the sun is. The sun's in Aquarius. So the sun is influencing the moon, which is why I'm not surprised this card has shown up for most of the readings. Because we're getting this heavy, intense energy of that Aquarius feeding into the moon. So the clarity in which you speak, Ishatini Marushinia, universal truths. Plato is very much linked into having Pluto in Aquarius, right? So the fundamental forms of the universe, right? And using them, Ishani Mochinya, to bring about a sense of communication, very utopian, very sort of allowing Aquarius energy is very comfortable being the black sheep and also welcoming in others who are also a little bit different. So you know, the way that you express yourself is sort of very more egalitarian, of going right back to the high perspectives rather than getting stuck in the sort of the immediacy. You're able to zoom out in the way that you express yourself. Okay, so I cut the deck before I started this video and I got this card and then I got that card. I should have said at the beginning, but yeah, that's blown my mind. Now, so the sun is influencing your perspectives of making sure this is in alignment with the collective and the future. Now, Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius, which is what I work with. So we want to look to where Saturn is in the chart. And Saturn is next door in the sign of Pisces. In your fourth house of your roots, your foundations, your ancestors, both blood and soul, parental figures, roof over your head, private life. This is the fundamental structure of your root. This is squaring your Sagittarius energy. Regardless of whether you've got Sagittarius rising, if you've got strong Sagittarius energy, I really recommend you check out the Saturn in Pisces transit series, because Saturn is squaring you, right? That's a hard aspect. So this is bringing about big change, but Saturn can be difficult. It's doing so in order for you to be stronger in the long term, but you might want to get some more perspective on that. The first series I still recommend, even though we've moved past that time frame. It's because in the instructions I talk about Saturn in Pisces, big main themes to help you have a deeper understanding of what Saturn is doing. And also in that Sagittarius reading, I talk about the themes and how Saturn is working with the themes of the fourth house. Second series was the retrograde. We've moved past this. Third series is current right now, of the direct motion till the end of June. So Saturn in the fourth is giving you a sense of, can bring up restrictions, limitations, a sense of isolation, as well as more duties and responsibilities in the fourth house. It's going to knock down some foundations that won't serve you for the next 30 years. And it's doing so it might bring a sense of authority come in, potentially around parental figures, and in order for you to connect to your authority, to connect to your commitment, to your integrity and your legacy and your maturity. Okay, so Saturn is also facilitating strengthening your foundations, and giving you a sense of a depth of maturity in your foundational space that is then feeding into your third house of how you communicate. You may be developing a sense of responsibility in your home. But what I'm really feeling with this is being able to tap into the ancestors, releasing some blockages there, particularly around being able to feel at ease at home. And the more that you're sort of strengthening your foundational space, the more that you're able to then create more of a healthy environment, which is then giving you the strength to crack open perspectives that you may have never tackled before, and get frequencies that are in alignment with this strengthening down in the foundational space. Now, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So we want to go and look to where Jupiter is. Oh, wait, we've already spoken about that. So Jupiter is not only influencing this moon by aspect, but also by rulership. So Jupiter over in your work, health and routines is expanding, is providing elevation and wisdom. There's then feeding into Saturn of saying, hey, we want to we want to feel good about the way that we work. We want to feel good about our physical health and our routines, and giving Saturn the commands of like, hey, let's get some good a sense of commitment into the foundational space to be able to activate these. And that feeding into the way that you work, right? So of then broadening your perspectives and the way that you find meaning in the world, that's allowing that expansion of work, right, as well as those foundational space. Now Taurus is ruled by Venus, so we look to where Venus is, and Venus has just moved into the sign of Capricorn, in your second house of your resources, your skills and your tools that you have in order to manifest and make regular money, your things that you value, and most importantly, how do you value yourself. So Venus is moving through there just as Pluto has left. For love, she's helping clean up, bringing more flow and ease of your being able to connect to your skills and your resources of how you manifest in the world, as well as bringing a sense of love and connection to valuing yourself. When you value yourself deeply and truly, and you commit to that, Capricorn is very committed energy to your legacy. That means an enhancement in your skills and your resources. All of this is being cultivated and fed into Jupiter and saying, hey, I'm activating some things over in the second house of a deeper sense of value, a deeper connection to your skills and your resources and manifestation ability, then pouring that into Jupiter to then activate that of how you then embody those skills, right, in the way that you work. The more that you value yourself, the more that you take care of your health, and the more that you're able to put in your routines. All of that's feeding into your foundational space of, right, that alignment of value into your foundations. Again, it's kind of tying in of like not necessarily needing your perspectives to be seen. And the more that we release control over that, the more that we open up a frequency of abundance, right? Because we're constantly in an overflow rather than a restriction, because we're not letting outside energy block off that energy, which will then bring towards you people who are more open-minded or more wanted to engage in your perspectives. And so they're in a feedback loop with each other, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So we've got this link between Venus, Jupiter and Saturn, and then back to Saturn, and in this loop, right? So all of this energy is then feeding into the moon and the sun, well, into the sun and the moon. And not only that, I'm loving the layers of this one. It's such a pleasure to talk about, because Venus is trine Jupiter, right? So not only are they influencing each other by rulership, but also by aspect. So Venus is making this beautiful trine to elevate and bring a sense of wisdom and expansion and opportunities. And both Venus and Jupiter are sextiling Saturn, so they're in a feedback aspect loop as well as by rulership. That sextile aspect of Venus, a sense of love, appreciation, creativity, connection with your foundational space. So getting the understanding of value of self, the skills and tools and resources that you have, in alignment with an expansion in the way that you work, feeding into the fourth house of your foundational space. Saturn giving strength and maturity there for you to walk your talk, to go out in the world and do what's good for you. And then this is all influencing the moon, right? This moon is very yang. It's fire and air. It's go, go, go. It's the extrovert. It's all the stimulation. And so we've got this very action-orientated moon happening. But it's being held by earth and water. It's being held by the two gas giants, their long-term perspectives, and Venus, wanting you to feel good in this 3D realm. And connect back to love. And so this yin energy, which is very nourishing, very strategic, it observes, it brings nuance and depth to things. It's creating this vessel and allowing the transformation of the potential big intense energy that's showing up is being grounded for then the fire and air to transform like the phoenix, and the air to move this energy rapidly and quickly, and then find activation codes of how to take action beyond this stuck energy into the liberation. And I love that Venus is playing a pivotal role here, is because this is also tying up that Venus retrograde in the Leo area, right? Because it's still still lingering from the imprint of the new moon. So even though there may be some sparks flying, some drama, some conflict, we are finding the wisdom, we are grounding that into ourselves, we are finding the strength within ourselves to manifest with this sense of spirit and air moving very quickly, propelling us to the future via our heart space. Now, look to where your sun and your moon are in your natal chart. Look to the houses that they're in and the themes of those houses. Those themes are likely to show up, maybe all of them, maybe just one or two, maybe none at all. But I always like to say this because it'll just give you a more personal understanding of every lunation, right? Every lunation, they're going to get activated and beyond this general reading. Right, so they put the deck down. I think all the cards are out. I'm going to go consciously quiet, let the energies move through me. They're going to do some physical and vocal light language. They're going to move the cards around and then they'll put them into the 3 piles, and I'll bring the tarot into the astrology. I call you to soften your mind. You just had so much information. Let that all settle into your unconscious and then see what intuitive hits show up for you while this is going on. Ela madushene marishanima itini marushinima ishini ush atana tatini marushini tushini matatine itini marushane ena ushtata dinamo do mintano muchitani itini madushene ishene ushatini maritani ma ish Etene marushene, eshene marine, marushene maritene, etene mo de menatine, eshantine marushene, etene mufene matina, ena, ishane marushene. Ishani marushini matitini marushini etene mana ela manumi dechani madina ishene motufini etena ena ini motuma etene matichani ma ichana matush Itini matini ela manuma itini machana ishanima dana metini itinu finima ishana manu mitini tina ishani moduma ishani matushini matishana itina Isha tina ishini madu fini matina ena ichani madu fini ichande mono matine etane marushana etana doshene matitine marushene damaina manuma ena matishana itu finema. Okay, Sagittarius. So we got the 8 of Swords. This is the lead up to this full moon. The 8 of Swords, the 5 of Cups, the Tower, and the 2 of Swords. So this has been pretty consistent with all of the readings with that new moon, with what I said about the sort of the independent energy being seeded, that's disrupted a lot of old frameworks and old patterns. Ishani marushini, they're sort of moving around the heart chakra and sort of going like that. Didi marushini ma ishane ma shh. So the 8 of Swords, And these things have come up. Maybe there maybe have been big events that have happened, or just simply you've been sitting with this energy and navigating yourself through it. So we've got the Eight of Swords, and this is trapped in a cage of your own making. This represents illusion, right? It's about perspectives can sometimes limit us. You may have had them in order to keep you safe, but they've turned into a cage. Limiting beliefs in how you see yourself in the world. As I said, that unintegrated Leo can feel very small and then puff itself up really big. Can get quite stubborn. Got a lot of fixed energy going on here, Sag. Fixed energy can be very stubborn. It's also really good at maintaining something and keeping going. So what I feel is like a lot of stubborn energy is being released because of that opposition with Pluto. And activating new codes that is going to be able to sustain for the long term. So with the Five of Cups represents grief, right? Or a lack of flow, because it's looking at the Three of Cups here that have fallen over, and that represents there's three, and they're three women. They're all dancing together. They're in harmony. They're in union with one another. They're celebrating each other, and there's a sense of abundance coming in, right? So if it's tying back on what I keep feeling compelled to talk about perspectives and whether you're heard or not. So there's an element of how you've been working through, the grief that you may have felt over not being heard. As well as, sorry if I'm shaking, that my root is shaking right now. My right leg. This is can be about perspectives that have limited you and caused some grief. Yeah, the Tower is here. I love the Tower. The Tower has been knocking these down. You have been facilitating this and helping pull these down by questioning things, because we've got the Two of Swords here. Now the Tower, I love the Tower. It pulls down the top of the tower, not the foundations. The foundations are still strong, right? It pulls down those things that do not serve you, will not serve your expansion and your curiosity, and the joy that you bring into the world. So there's maybe some big events that have been pulling down around you, that have been helping pull down those perspectives that may have been based on trauma responses and limiting beliefs. It's come with the Two of Swords, which is saying you have been aware of this. You are conscious of it. You've gone inward. And this is about, this figure has just arrived at a new land, and they are making the decision of which sword, which truth are they going to embody as they walk into this new land. And it involves going inward, right? And really figuring out who you are and what are those perspectives? What do they mean to you? This is saying you've had the calm and the stillness to be able to work and navigate through this. And you've honored the fact that this has needed time to unfold. And so often when we're in this position, we can sense the old habits, the old perspectives, and the power that they've had over us, and leaning into understanding why they're there before we then put down that sword and take this new journey. So for the energy of this full moon download, what's coming through? We've got the Ten of Cups, Five of Swords in reverse, the Guru card, which is the Hierophant, which is Taurus, which is hilarious, and then the Six of Wands. I mean, this showing up in perspectives, right? The Ten of Cups is it's an outward, external, emotional contentment with every area of your life. So there's an element of enlightenment here, of finding emotional ease in your perspectives of how you see the outside world, how you see yourself in relationship to everything other than yourself. It's the only rainbow in the Rider-Waite Tarot, admittedly not in this deck because there's rainbows everywhere. But it represents sort of, for me, it's a emotional balance and enlightenment, right? So it's the light refracted, so into the chakra bodies. Now, Chakra in Sanskrit is wheel. They are vortexes within us, and these are all in alignment, and these look like wheels when you move them like this. These look like vortexes of energy coming through, and they're in alignment. So there's a sense of an elevation of your perspectives, an elevation of your understanding of who you are in the world and what is your meaning here. Now, this is the nuclear family. That may be part of your connection to the outside world, but it can be anything. It really is just really connecting yourself back to this human incarnation in the universe, with a sense of ease, right? A sense of flow, a sense of, as I said, that emotional harmony. Now it's with the Five of Swords in reverse, so moving away from conflict, right? I've talked a lot about perhaps your perspectives, maybe taking up the space or not feeling seen. It can go both ways with Leo energy. And so this is the Five of Swords in reverse. For me, this card is this is the one card I respect it, I honor it, but for me it's the most difficult card. Not the Tower, not the Death card, not the Devil. It's this card, although the Devil card might disagree with me. So this figure as one, right? So this is about dominating ideas. It's the sword suit, but they've won the Three of Swords. What have they won? They've won heart discord, right? So 3 swords in the heart. They actually turned up in the collective reading in reverse of like those swords being pulled out. There's sometimes when we are sharing our perspectives, we can try and control. This could be people trying to control your perspectives, and vice versa, right? We've got the bully and we've got the victim, and both of these things we can be, right? Okay. And there's a very much of this sense of domination, rather than finding a way to work through it from a place of peace and love. It's coming in reverse. So no longer being in conflict with your perspectives. You might have had a distorted understanding. There might have been a perspective in your worldview, in your universe view of how you see yourself in the world, that may have been distorted due to a lack of self-worth. And as well as those other things of saying, of sharing those perspectives from a more combative energy. It's in reverse. We're clearing that energy out. And your ability to express it, right? Down with Aquarius down in the 3rd house. Then we've got the Guru, which is Jupiter over in it's Taurus over with Jupiter, and the 6 of Wands. So this is with this activation, we are bringing in, right, the Guru is acknowledging the wisdom that you have within you from the journey that you've been on and being able to share it with others from a place of peace, right? Bright peace rather than conflict. And being able to be, so with the Guru energy, I always want to say we are all teachers and we are all students, right? Moving away from a hierarchical system and just wanting just to share, right? But it is saying that you're able to then embody these perspectives that are coming through this high vibrational frequency into the way that you work over in the sign of Taurus and the way that you take care of yourself, as well as your ability to share this maturity and your roots and foundations of Saturn, and your understanding of how you value yourself and the skills and resources that you have coming through of the embodiment of this wisdom. And these perspectives. That's taking you to a place of victory. So even though I've been saying like you don't need to seek outside approval for your perspectives, this card is about being celebrated by the outside world for something that you've done, right? And so there's a victory wreath here. This figure is about to go and have a banquet and a celebration. So there's a real sense of a recognition and validation. And or if we take it outside of that, of this activation code taking you to a place of feeling good about who you are in the world. So you might not even need outside validation, that might not come through, but you feeling good about the steps that you take, the movement that you make as a human being, doing whatever it is that you feel right for your incarnation. And feeling strong within that. And able to recognize that within yourself and celebrate yourself. Right, so how this energy is manifesting moving forward. Whew, Shana. We've got the Chariot, we've got the Nine of Cups, we've got the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords. Ishinima, Jishanima, Rushana. We've got the Chariot. So this is moving through the world with a sense of victory, knowing you have all the resources you need. This is a collection of your perspectives, a broadening of your understanding of how you see yourself in the world. This figure isn't trying to control anything. They are in their flow, they're in their yin and the yang, they're in balance. And this is about moving through the world, even if it's difficult, and still feeling very protected. You see the armor there, but also knowing that you can utilize the resources of the world around you. So being able to download different perspectives in order to broaden your expanse and understanding of the universe, and knowing that you are protected and safe within it. Ichani marushin, and you're able to move through the world as you. Ishatini marishani marushani and embodying that. Nine of Cups. So we've got the Ten of Cups that's being activated, and it's leading to you feeling good about yourself. This is can be a wish fulfillment card. So there may be a wish that's coming through for you. But overall, I see this as like your internal gratitude, your eternal sense, I want to say eternal sense of abundance, maybe tapping into that frequency. That's always there of source energy. That you're in a self-propelling vessel. Through the sense of expansion, of joy, and light and love, in your perspective, that's allowing you to move through the world despite if there's maybe difficult things, of just really being able to re-tap back into that in that grounding energy, right? That's creating a vessel for this to come through. Queen of Wands, King of Swords. We've got the Queens. Queens nourish, they bring depth, they bring nuance, they observe, they strategize, and they are able to cultivate. So we've got that fire energy of Leo, of you moving forward, this manifesting moving forward, of being in a perpetual state of cultivation of your perspectives, and how you see yourself in the universe, right? This sunflower is able to always move and face the sun, right, and get as much light as possible. Ishani Modishan, be nourished and restored by those perspectives. And this is all bringing depth to the King of Swords, who is able, with the help of this Queen, of the nourishment and the strategy and the nuance and the cultivation of then being able to take action through the way that you communicate, through finding meaning in your day-to-day with clarity and vision, right? Being in your own sovereignty, in your own autonomy, and being able to see clearly, right? Rather than the distortions of the sort of the illusions around you, being able to see them and be able to navigate through them so they don't hold you in a space of grief. You are always in flow. Beautiful cards. Right, I'm going to pull some qualifiers. Let's see what wants to come through. Ishani Marusha. We've got the Hierophant. So we've got the Guru card again. Trainer, wisdom, understanding, mentoring. Deep amount of wisdom coming through. It's then helping. Got the Tower again. Really highlighting of structures being pulled down. That's allowing you to be you. And the deeper wisdom within your soul becoming more accessible. So you co-create and manifest in the world. With Jupiter over in the 6th. They're focusing on the electrical impulses with this one of new pathways. That frequency that kind of sounds like codes is linked into sort of architects and sacred geometry, so like the fundamentals. And it's, it's coming up in reverse at the future of like, you're not going to be bothered, right, with that Chariot of structures falling down. You're going to see and have the depths of understanding Cut the deck and got the Chariot again. Drive, determination, ambition, emotional control. There's more confidence here coming in, like of you knowing who you are in the universe. Ishanama means that the outside world isn't shaking your internal space. We've got compassion showing up here. Compassion of where you've been and what the journey that you've been on. Being able to bring that compassion into the way that you understand the world. Easing any lingering wounds. Having compassion for others. We're all on our own little journey here. Even if you disagree with perspectives, there's usually a lot of reasons why people come to the conclusions that they do. We've got change and love partnership, and what I see with this is a change in dynamics of you falling in love with yourself, this vessel, this incarnation in this current 3D reality. Ishani Marushani Marusha, and that love pouring out into everything that you do. Ishani Marusha. Okay, Sagittarius, I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want a personal reading, check out my email address in the description box. Send me a line, let me know what you're sort of interested in. I really like to tailor to the client, so write a couple of paragraphs, let me know what the vibe is, and we can come to figure something out. Be good to yourself, Sagittarius, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Scorpio rising. How you doing, Scorpio? For those of you tapping into the Scorpio energy and it doesn't fall in your first house, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house and apply those themes to the messages that come through. It's as if all the connotations of your Scorpio energy have now moved all to the first house, so the astrology will still link in. Say you've got Scorpio in the 6th house of work, health and routines. Say your sun is there, of your illumination, your purpose, your conscious mind. You just apply all of that to what's coming through in the messages. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Well, regardless of whether Scorpio is your rising sign, Scorpio and a Leo square one another. For those of you who didn't catch the introduction, and the last 3 transits, I think, I've been channeling physical light language through my body. It's the hand movements that I do, that you see on screen, since for nearly 3 years now. And recently I've had a vocal light language activation. So I'm still integrating this. This is all drawing in energies from different dimensions to help us heal and help us bring in activation codes in alignment with our soul's frequency in this incarnation. So even if you're not consciously aware of what's going on, it's still helping this process in alignment with your higher self. So Scorpio and Leo square one another. A square is an aspect of Mars. It's a hard aspect. It can involve a little bit more hard work. It's can be linked into conflict, drama, frustration, winning at all costs. This is, if these things do show up, it's in order to figure out, okay, well, what of those do I need in my life, right? Are they truly important? And the other side of this is friction, right? Movement, momentum, action. Without friction, we wouldn't have atoms bumping up against one another, creating this linear 3D time frame construct reality that we're very consciously aware that we're in. And so this is big manifestation energy. So very powerful energy, Scorpio. There's a lot of fixed energy going on, which I'll talk about more a bit later. But hello. We've got the sun obviously over in Aquarius, and we've got Jupiter over in Taurus. So of all the signs with your Scorpio energy, you are forming what's called a grand fixed cross. So this is 4 different areas of your life being activated. This can feel like you might be being pulled in lots of different directions. However, what we want to do is go to the middle of the chart and realize that this is in fact a generator of the fixed signs. It's like a very strong power generator. And so big energy, Scorpio. And so let's talk about what's going on. So I am pulling cards. Sorry, I'm a bit not all over the place, but there's a bit of a trickster energy coming through with me at the moment. I am pulling cards for 3 different piles for this full moon. The first pile is the lead up to the full moon, and this is working from that new moon in Leo that we had last year, which was really powerful. It was square Uranus, which is very much independent liberation energy. Lilith was conjunct the sun and the moon, and she's also incredibly independent. She calls for the honoring of the individual with the other, right? Through respect, dignity, and equality. She's not a fan of hierarchical structures that don't make sense, as well as hypocrisy. Also, Venus was retrograde at the time of that new moon, and a Venus retrograde is very independent. She's breaking against traditional conventions of the way that you operate from your heart space, right? Leo rules the heart in terms of how you value yourself, how you value your light and your love. So with all of that new moon energy, that would have been an element of disruption would have come over the last 6 months. Of when we've got this independent energy that's trying to break us out of conventions and liberate us, it can raise a lot of things up. It can bubble a lot of discord to the surface in order for that to be transmuted, right? In order to move into a space of independence away from perhaps codependency and conformity. So the first part is the energy that you've been working with over the last 6 months. And then the second pile is the energy of the moon itself. I work with 6-month cycles, and I see lunations as sort of portals of energy, of activation codes coming through. And so this is what the second pile will be, is what activation code, what energy frequency is coming into your vessel that will unfold over the next 6 months. Now, the baseline for pile 2 is the collective reading. And that is so I break down in the words the collective reading. It's already live, it's already out, and so this is where I break down the astrology in way more detail. I'll touch on the major themes in this reading, but there's a lot more going on, so this is the narrative of how all the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the time of the full moon. And so this is the download that's coming through. I did a collective tarot reading in that video, and that was wild. I've not seen a reading like that I've done in this series, on this channel. The symmetry of it and the clarity of it was mind-blowing. So I also did sort of collective messages come through with that as well. So if you want a deeper understanding of what pile 2 represents, go check out that collective reading, especially if you've got big Scorpio placements, particularly Scorpio risings, because this is happening on angular houses for you. 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th, they're all getting activated, and these are the pivot points of your chart, right? They are the foundational cross of the rest of your chart. So big energy here. And so the tarot that will come up on pile 2 is in relation to how that collective message reflects on the Scorpio energy of your chart. The third pile is how all this energy is manifesting moving forwards. So those are the 3 piles. Now let's talk about Scorpio Leo rising, where is this happening for you? This is happening in your 10th house, Scorpio. This is your life purpose, your career, your visibility, your reputation, how the big outside world sees you. It's also linked into bosses. It's the most visible part of your chart where the sun was at its peak on the time of your birth. So we've got a full moon here. And so I find that full moons bring up three main themes. If you see themes that I haven't mentioned, do put it in the comments box. I'd love to find out what else other people see show up. Obviously, there's other little nuances as well, but these are the three things that I see show up the most. The first thing is trigger time. And this is because the full light of our conscious will, our purpose, our animation, the illumination of the sun is covering the whole of the moon. The moon is our unconscious, our emotional body, our intuition, where our needs are being met or not being met, how to nourish ourselves and others, how do we seek nourishment. So this is when things can get triggered, where your needs might not be met, where you're not feeling nourished. You might have distorted emotional and intuitive responses based on trauma responses and limiting beliefs. They get bubbled up to the surface. Now, this may be difficult energy, but it is an offering from the sun and the moon to say, hey, you might want to look over here, right, at this thing that you then can integrate over the next 6 months. It's a wonderful tool on our integration and journey that we're all on. So these things can kick off. You know, this is police stations, hospitals and schools can get, and the collective at large can get really rowdy, howling at the moon, because our unconscious is very visible. Things that you may not have come across and in your own time over the perhaps a year, a decade, maybe not even in this lifetime. So this is why I see it as an offering, even though it's difficult, because this is helping us clear stuck energy within us and integrate. The second thing is, so often when we're doing the shadow work and the inner work, it can be very much a mental sphere. And the sun and the moon will come along and will provide a situation when you're ready that will help clear that energy in a holistic way. It won't come up if it's going to ingrain those trauma responses, I often find. And so this is when a situation will crop up that is familiar, is similar to a trauma or a limiting belief, that is then allowing your physical and emotional body along with your mind to walk through this situation and then realize that you're not bothered anymore, right? So your emotional response might come out the other side and go, oh, I didn't get triggered, I didn't feel really big emotions, and your physical body gets to see that it's safe. So it's a holistic integration. You may be a bit frustrated because you're kind of like, oh, I thought I cleared this out, I thought I was done with this, but this is just always providing a situation that can help you navigate the integration and pull out the tendrils of energy that may still be stuck in the emotional and physical field. And the third thing is a celebration, a peak of all the work that you've been doing, your needs being met, feeling nourished, your intuition being at its highest, and your emotional body being in flow. So these are the three things that I see show up quite loudly. Obviously, full moons represent a culmination, right? So this can be a release of certain stuck energy, of stuff that you've been working on, as well as a celebration and an activation code. So what might show up with this 10th house for you, Scorpio? Well, this might be, as I said, you perhaps, your visibility and your reputation not being seen in the way that you would like it to be. This can be a dissatisfaction around your needs not being met in terms of your life purpose. And not maybe being nourished by, life purpose isn't always career. Career can facilitate it, but perhaps the career isn't feeling as nourishing as it should do. That then helps you realize, oh, I need to redirect. Okay. It also can be a celebration of the work that you do. of feeling visible by the big outside world, of perhaps getting some a pat on the back by a boss or something, of feeling nourished in the direction that you're headed in regards to your life purpose. By releasing a lot of old cycles around not feeling like you're accessing that, and then bringing in a celebration. Ishani maritana, ishani matushini, matumina tufini maritini marichana modufa, ishani madina. So these are sort of things that can show up. A sense of visibility, of being really seen for the work that you do. Ishana marushini maritanina, ishani madishana maruma, itana morishani maritatanina, itoma, tina matufini minachani maritana. And this is all square your ascendant. So your ascendant is how you embody your sun or your moon in your actions and your deeds. It's the lens in which you navigate the cosmic waters, right? It's your embodiment of self. Ishanya morusha. It's your body, it's your appearance, your character, and how other people see you, because they tend to see your embodiment rather than what's going on behind the scenes. Ashana mora. So we have this square. So as I said, this can bring up conflict. In order to release it, ishani marushini marita, old patterns of perhaps constantly seeking or seeing conflict based on old patterns that are being released. Ishana marushini mara, and the other side is manifestation energy, right? So building here, building your life purpose, building in the right direction, and maybe perhaps seeing a clue that you're activating, and all the work that you've been putting in is taking you there. Ishatini marushini matutadinamo ni matinamo ishani madushinu. So really big energy. Now, we want to look to where the sun is, because whatever is going on with the sun tends to highlight something, a sense of visibility of the journey that you've been on, right? So the sun in Aquarius is over in your 4th house. It's also squaring your Scorpio energy. And so this is your roots and your foundations, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, parental figures, the roof over your head, the things that you do in private. So the sun can sort of highlight any instability you might have felt about your foundational space. And highlight that that's no longer relevant. That you've been doing work in your private space. Some of you may work from home. And having a sense of visibility and understanding of the work that you've done that's facilitating your life purpose. An understanding of your strong foundations of everything that you've been building on, that is activating the next level of your life purpose. You might be spending time at home celebrating the work that you've done. Now, the sun and the moon are making only 2 aspects to the rest of the chart. By aspect. First, we've got Pluto. Okay, so this is the first moon after the Pluto ingress that happened a couple of days beforehand, and it just so happens to be opposite the sign of Aquarius. Now, this is so interesting because I've just done a Pluto in Aquarius transit series. That's for the transit that takes us up to the beginning of September. It's going to dip back down into Capricorn and then head into Aquarius at the end of November. So this is you see, I said in all those videos, I said with Pluto being quite intense, it can bring up some difficult energy. Look to Leo, look to your heart space. Leo rules the heart. Look to your light. Find joy, find laughter, find creativity. Find warmth. In order to balance out whatever difficulties may be showing up for Pluto, right? With the axis of Aquarius and Leo, we want this to be in alignment. We don't want to be one-sided. And so it's essentially, in a nutshell, it is operate from your heart space, from a place of integrity, and that will bring the alignment of Aquarius and Leo together. So finding wisdom in your foundational space, finding this sort of egalitarian utopian energy, this sort of forward thinking, looking to the future, higher perspective that you glean from being at home in your foundations, and make sure that's channeling through your heart. So Pluto is transformation, the cycles of life, death and rebirth, creation and destruction. And so this is bringing a lot of power into your force, into your roots, right, in order to facilitate your life purpose. Pluto can bring up some difficult energies such as control, fear, possession, obsession, the taboo, and all of these things are a reflection on the human nature to find transformation, to find change difficult. So we seek to control things rather than let things flow in their transitory nature. And so with this moon, it's really interesting. So there's oracle cards here. There will be a separate oracle reading after I finish this transit series. When I was first tapping into this moon, it was very much joy, laughter, play, creativity, finding the warmth, and being in balance with that, and that these cards actually brought up quite an intense energy of like bubbling things up to the surface, and so I say this to be mindful that there may be some big emotions that show up, but they're going to get transformed very quickly. We're going to complete very quickly in order to create more space for Aquarius is sort of like universal truths. It's the collective air sign to bring in a more an elevated universal truth of the heart space. Revolutionizing our understanding of love and joy. And the power of the heart. So Pluto is having a very strong impact on transforming your foundational space. The sun is there conjunct Pluto, of finding the vision and the clarity and the purpose of where we're headed with that. And anything that may be bubbling up is making sure that you understand where your needs aren't being met in order to get into an alignment. It also very much can be a celebration of those needs from this higher vibrational frequency getting activated. So I've got three main guides with me at the moment in regards to the vocal light language. And one of them is very forthright, very strong, very independent, and that is the one that's coming through, and it represents sort of earth protection and manifestation. I always feel when it's coming through of saying you are strong, remember you are strong, that you have the power of the universe within you. You are capable of anything and moving through anything. Just had the phrase you can walk through the valley of death, which is weird. I've not said that out loud or thought about that for a very long time. Very interesting with Scorpio that's come up, because obviously you rule the death card in tarot of this ability to transform. Ishani is inherent within you. You are protected by light. You glow so very strongly. Do not be in fear. Whew, okay, that was an interesting channeling come through for you, Scorpio. So that's what's going on with the Pluto aspect. And now we've got the final main aspect that the sun and the moon are making is a square to Jupiter, over in the other fixed sign. So this is why of all the signs, Scorpio, you're getting hit from every direction. And I feel this in such a beautiful way. It may feel very intense. It feels very, very powerful. And overall, it is creating a generator within you. That's going to unfold over the next 6 months. Jupiter for you is opposite your sign in the sign of Taurus, and for Scorpio risings, this is in your 7th house, the house of the other, business partners, one-to-one clients, dealing with people on a one-to-one basis at work. Intimate friends, as well as long-term committed romantic relationships and source energy. I feel like source is really going to be facilitating this generator of understanding who you are and why you are here. Now Jupiter brings elevation, a sense of bringing together to expand, wisdom, deep knowing, and this sense of the teacher, the guru, bringing in a deep sense of knowing and therefore confidence and wisdom coming from this. A sense of generosity and joviality and expansion, abundance and luck. And so Jupiter's been retrograde until the end of last year, so we may have felt restriction around all of that, and now it's expanding and the momentum's going to be building up. And so with this square, we've got a release point with Jupiter, particularly because this is nearly exact by degree. The Sun and the Moon are at 5, Jupiter's at 6. So Jupiter is helping help us find the wisdom and the deep understanding and the knowing and the ease, right? The sense of elevation of any difficult energies that are going to bubble to the surface, and very quickly be able to transmute that into wisdom. Because we're dealing with those squares again of conflict, drama, frustration, and winning at all costs. And it's in your 7th house, so there's an element of this is why I'm connecting mostly with source here, of source really providing you a lot of support in that 7th house. And you being able to bring more wisdom to the other. Understanding what it is that you're drawn to in those relationships, how you show up in them, and being more in alignment with your embodiment of self via this strengthening of your foundational space and the visibility and the activation codes around heading towards your life purpose. For some of you, this may be bringing somebody into your life to help facilitate that Ishana and co-collaborate to build. Because remember, the other side of the square is manifestation. We are building here. So Jupiter is helping then elevate your relationships. If you're working with people on a one-to-one basis in terms of your life purpose, this is really bringing in the power of you being able to share your wisdom from that Aquarius era of your life. They are just sort of hitting the back of my heart chakra, so on my back, and I feel like it's sort of breaking up stuck, stagnant energy from the past, and helping bring in the energy of the ancestors from Aquarius, and the wisdom enabled to embody it. They're now moving down to the solar plexus, which is work, how we move through the world, breaking up limitations and restrictions around being able to tap into being visible and striving and finding proactive ways of engaging with your life purpose. Now they're over the front of my heart chakra. Of deep healing come through and activation of that wisdom from the lives you've lived before. Source is really standing here. Okay. So those are the main aspects that are coming through. Now we want to look to rulership, because whatever's going on with the ruler of a sign is impacting the signs that it rules. The Sun rules Leo. Therefore, the Sun is impacting what's going on with Leo. So we've got big Aquarius energy come through. You know, the star card was the first card that came out here. So this, your roots and your foundations, the clarity and vision of how strong you are, of your ability to tap into that higher perspective in your private life, in your foundations, that's then feeding into where you're headed and how you expand in your career. Of just being more in balance. Ooh. Now, Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius, which is what I work with. So where is Saturn? Saturn is over in your 5th house, next door, of your creation energy, the house of joy. This is the where we find, where we create, how we create. and a connection to our pleasure principle, and that can be in any area of your life, not just the romantic sense. Amusement, fun, games, play, children, both literal children, your own children you may work with, your inner child, as well as things you birth into the world from a creative space that are your creative children. It's also linked into romance and dating, right? So Saturn has been moving through that sign for a little while. It's going to be there until February 2026. I've done Saturn in Pisces series, 3 of them. The first one I still really recommend because I talk about the major themes in the introductions of each of those 12 sign videos. And also the Scorpio reading, I talk about Saturn being in the 5th in more detail. So you might want to go and look at that because it is going to be influencing this moon as well as Pluto in general for the next 2 years. So Saturn can bring about restrictions and limitations, frustrations. You might find your ability to tap into your creative energy and your joy just a little bit more distant, a little bit more restricted, right? And so Saturn can come along and sort of be a bit stern, be a bit withdrawn. It can shake down foundations in order to get rid of the ones that aren't going to last the test of time, because it's a 30-year cycle. It can bring about a sense of authority, both externally and internally, in order for you to tap into your personal authority. All Saturn wants you to do is walk your talk, be responsible, honor cause and effect, basically operate from a space of integrity, commit to your legacy. You may have had more duties and responsibilities around this area. And so Saturn is influencing your foundational space. So Saturn inherently is calling for some maturity around your creation energy and your pleasure energy. And all those other things that I just listed off. And that is pouring into your foundational space of getting that in alignment. Even if you might not be feeling all the bubbly joy, etc., because Saturn is there, it is inherently asking you and calling the energy in to help, raise the frequency of that area, in order to strengthen your foundations and make sure your foundations are in alignment with your creation energy and your pleasure principle and your joy, Ishana Morufa, that's then feeding into your career. So perhaps bringing a maturity around what does your career bring to you, finding a deeper sense of joy around that, a culmination of that. Perhaps there may be some restrictions that show up in order to then release them, as well as bringing in activation codes for the long term. Now, Saturn is in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. So where's Jupiter? Oh, wait, we've already spoken about Jupiter. I love this moon. It's very layered in its synchronicities. So Jupiter is not only affecting this moon by aspect, but also by rulership. So Jupiter is influencing Saturn, wanting the wisdom that you're expressing in one-to-one relationships and that you're gleaning from source energy to be in alignment with this deeper understanding of your creation energy and what you have the capacity to bring into the world. Perhaps an expansion. For some of you, this can be linked into sort of long-term romantic relationships, activations that is facilitating your life purpose, as well as bringing in collaboration, as I said, Ishana Monufa. But overall, your ability to be, to share your wisdom with others on a one-to-one basis, that is feeding into your creation energy, that is then strengthening your foundations and allowing a broader and more high timeline energy show up in your career house. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus, so we want to look to where Venus is. And Venus is just moved into Capricorn, so she's in your 3rd house of communication, right? The house of the goddess, where we bring meaning into our day-to-day. This is your environment, your local community, the things you do on a day-to-day basis, the way that you express yourself. I love how she's shown up just after Pluto's left, so she's doing the cleanup. She's connecting the dots of that particular transit. bringing a sense of value and appreciation to the way that you communicate, and perhaps feeling more good in your local community, finding a bit more meaning in your day-to-day, bringing more ease and grace and diplomacy in the way that you communicate. So this may see you being able to communicate on a one-to-one basis in a way that is bringing more commitment for the long term. So that Venus Jupiter a chain of events. So Venus is governing Jupiter, of making sure that this depth of meaning that we're cultivating with this transit of Venus is facilitating a frequency of one-to-one relationships that is more enlightened into the sense of appreciation and love of what it is that you're expressing. That's then feeding back into Saturn and activating a deeper sense of maturity around creativity, and also your pleasure and how you find meaning in your day-to-day. So they're all linked in together. That's then moving back into the sun and then into the moon. Now they're in a little feedback loop because obviously Venus is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So we've got a feedback loop between Venus, Saturn and Jupiter that's pouring into the sun and then the moon. Not only that, but Venus and Jupiter are trine one another. So this is bringing a real elevation and expansion of your deeper knowing of how to express yourself on a one-to-one basis, of what kind of relationship dynamics, how you show up for them and how they show up for you. What you're drawn to, a level of maturity around that. Not only that, but Venus and Jupiter are sextiling Saturn. So they're forming a closed loop, aspect loop. And the sextile is an aspect of Venus. So again, the harmonizing of creativity and joy and love and connection and a sense of value and appreciation. So Venus, Jupiter and Saturn, the sense of how you express yourself, how you feel in your environment. Third house is also linked into schools and learning things for a new time. So there's a connection between schools and children here as well. So for some of you that may be relevant. So you've got this inspiration between how you embody your environment and find love within it and express yourself into your one-to-one relationships, that is then feeding into creativity and joy from a more mature space. And then so this is so by rulership and by aspect, they're sort of doubling down on this energy that's then feeding into the sun and the moon. Now this moon is very yang in energy. It is fire and air. It's the extrovert, the action, the being out in the daytime, the go, 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 all the stimulation. And so it's very sort of action orientated. And what I love about this is that Venus, Jupiter and Saturn are in earth and water, very yin energy. Yin energy is very receptive, it's very nourishing, it cultivates, it observes and strategizes, it brings depth and nuance, right? In order to bring a deeper sense of grounding into this moon. So there's the way that I've seen this is that earth and water of the two gas planets and Venus, right? The long-term gas planets of how we interact socially with Venus, of how we feel love, how do we feel connected and valued. Are creating this beautiful, inspirational, creative, connecting love, value, energy, all feeding into this earthly vessel, that is grounding potentially any difficult energies that are showing up, and then creating this vessel for the fire and the air to, like the phoenix, burning this up and transforming it into something very new very quickly. Ashina, the fast moving of the air, to clear the blocked energy and transform it, and then bring in the activation codes of how we then move through the world and take action moving forward over the next 6 months. Love it, absolutely love it. So let's Scorpio. This is you got a lot of energy. As I said, you might be feeling pulled in different directions of self, other, foundations, work. Look to the center. try and acknowledge that there may be a lot of energy going around, and sit in some calm in the middle of it and see how it all unfolds. Tap into the sensation that it feels like a power generator within you. Even if you don't quite understand how it's all going to work just yet, just know that you are cultivating and generating power. That's all influencing how you embody yourself. How others see you, how they see the deep understanding of self that you're bringing in to your existence. Right, so look to where your sun and your moon are in your natal chart. Look to the houses that they're in and the themes of those houses. Apply those themes to what might be showing up around this full moon, because they get activated every time we have a lunation. Sometimes you may see all of the themes, sometimes maybe one or two, but just bear that in mind to make this a bit more, have a deeper personal understanding of how this lunation is showing up for you beyond this general reading. Right, I've kind of said everything that I wanted to say. There's more astrology, but do go check out the collective reading. I'm trying to keep it succinct because I know there's a lot going on, and I'm going to go consciously quiet now. I'm going to keep shuffling until they put the deck down, because I think there might be some more cards that want to come out. And I want you to, so I'm going to go consciously quiet. And after they finish shuffling, I'm going to let the energies move through me. They'll do some vocal and physical light language. They'll move the cards around, and then they'll put them into the 3 piles. And I'll come back round and I'll bring in the tarot into the astrology. I call you to soften your mind. You've just had loads of information. Let that all settle into your unconscious space and see what intuitive hits show up in relation to this big full moon in your 10th house of career, life purpose, visibility, big reputation, how the outside world sees you, and bosses. Ishani maru shini maritani maru shani ma ene maru fini matusha ishani metu shini matushana dama dama di maru shini maritini marusha ishani matushani marusha Ishana matufina, itene malume, itofine mashatene malufinima, itene finime ditine, usheneme, ishena malufinima, itene matufine madina, itene bene madina modufe, itene matishene marushenema, ishana. This is showing up so much. Ishana marinda maluma. Itanama tinima tushana. Alemono finima de tanima. Achanima. Achanima, achanima, chanima, chanima, chanima. Itinima rufinima dufa. Etinima dishati no matina, no matina, tina. Ina marumi di dani maritini marusheni maritini maruma itini madushatina marusheni maritini marusheni maruma itini maritani matufini ita tu facini maruma dina du finima ishena tu fa aru facciana marutishani maru mati fine matina hina itana matita na madushini marido matana madumi tena tina no finima itina ma ushena ishani matushene itino matina maru minatina itina Etene madu fina titishana maru fina. Etene maru shene madu shana. Etene maru shani madida no metino metina. Etu shine metishana. Eto fine matina maritani maritene ma. Eta. Ishina mari domina dina. Itini maditani maritini me. Ishana. Ishani marushini maritina. Itini marufine. Itina dufina. Dufine. Ishana nani dufana. Ishanima. Ishani ushana mari no me dine. Ela manuma. I tina. Dina. Dina maru shene matu fine. Itina maru fina. I tina. Wow. Janama ditane maru shene tu finima. Etene maru fe. Ishatana. Etene. Damalu itana maini maritanima. Ishinamodumina janamadana. Right, got a lot going on here, Scorpio. This spread wild. Love it. So we've got the Ten of Swords, cross, and the Four of Pentacles was there as well. And I'll talk about that because sometimes cards want to be in more than one place at once. Ishata no morita nina, crossed by the Chariot, with the Hanged Man. Ishana monofa, Six of Swords, Lady Justice, and the Three of Wands. Okay, so the Ten of Swords with the Four of Pentacles felt like you've been... So this is the lead up to this full moon. So this is, all that stuff about squaring Uranus with Lilith, Venus retrograde, where we've been working through, we've been revisiting and understanding this area of our chart over the last 6 months. And that independent energy has probably brought up a bit of discombobulation of bringing up old cycles. Ishani Mara for it to be released. Ishani Maru Shana. Got the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is about immobilization, feeling betrayed, right? So this can be both from the outside world, and we're dealing with the 10th house, so that can be very much a thing, as well as your own ideas and constructs about your ability to move and take action in regards to your career and life purpose. This can be situations that have happened in your life that have caused this. So this can be things that someone said to you when you were a small child. We've got Saturn over in the 5th house, helping you heal your inner child. That have caused you to be in this state of immobilization, of not being able to get up and move around and take action when it comes to your career and your life purpose. You see here, this hand gesture is the same as that of the Hierophant and the Six of Pentacles. It is the benediction. It is the blessing. 2 fingers to the sky, 2 fingers to the ground. The acknowledgement of connection of duality. Ishana Morufa, the light and the dark. Ishana Morisha, or heaven and hell, because it comes from Christianity. Ishana Monufa. I'm just wondering if it's before the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church even. Ishana Morufa. But it's honoring the fact that sometimes we have to go through these difficult times in order to find the blessings and connecting to the shades of creation and destruction. These are all along the spine. Leo rules the spine, and so we store a lot of karma in our spine where our Kundalini energy rises, and this is often why we get back pain. Sorry, I'm just going to pause because my ring light's just fallen over. That's interesting. I was thinking while I was sort of sorting that out, is the sun rules Leo, the light, perhaps the light not feeling like unsteady, right, and falling over and then not being visible. So as I say, we can often have a lot of back problems due to this. So this is a sense of certain things blocking you. This can be from past life energy, and ancestors, where they may have felt that they haven't achieved what they've wanted to achieve, and their mind has fixated on that, and that sort of stuck energy within your current incarnation. But it's come with that Four of Pentacles, and usually I don't read this way with the Four of Pentacles, but when I saw them together, I was like holding on to that. Sometimes we can, whether consciously or not, but we're holding on to those old patterns, and restricting ourselves and feeling that we've got to protect everything. We've got to hold everything, like the dragon with their hoard. Sort of sense of isolation. But the Four of Pentacles is moved over here and it's turned into a different energy. It's crossed by the Chariot, which is, so you've been this energy has potentially come up, and it's been crossed by the chariot of the chariot is about victory, is about moving through this world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, knowing you have all the resources you need in order to get to victory, Ishanamo, and being in balance and not controlling things, right? The chariot, you see there aren't any reins, so they're not controlling the situation, they're just moving with ease because they are confident within themselves. And this is crossing it, so it's feeling like you've been trying to get to that space, right, of moving beyond immobilization into movement. It's one of the fastest moving cards in the deck. Ishana Morushini Manata. And the Hanged Man's shown up, of saying you've been in pause, you've been in limbo, of trying to get a different perspective, right? This is the only card that has a halo. This represents enlightenment, divine wisdom. When we change our perspective, we draw in new pathways. Ishana Marushini Maritini Marushini Manata Natufa. So this is saying that you've understood that there's a limitation here and that there is a blockage, right? And trying to transition into that has meant going inward, has meant really recalibrating the self. Ishana Modufa. And you're coming out the other side of this with the Six of Swords, and this is about moving from choppy waters to calmer waters, but there's an element of the limbo energy, right? Not quite being aware that you are headed to calmer waters, not knowing what that environment feels like. Ishana mori shanana. But this figure is taking with them those things that are, through this perspective, through this pause, you know are going to serve you in this calmer space, right? It's been an element of protection and being guided to this space, but still in the lead up to this full moon, still being a little bit in limbo. We've then got Lady Justice. So this is helping bring in more clarity. It's an acknowledgement of karmic contracts being cleared. Ishana Morufa, of being able to see things clearly. There's a sense of balance coming in, of giving yourself some empathy and also practicality and fairness. Ishana for what may have come up, and realizing that this, I'm just feeling like there's a line being drawn under the sand with this. Libra, this is Libra. Lady Justice is in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries. The South Node is in there, right? So clearing out unconscious trauma responses and limiting beliefs around this feeling of being betrayed, Ishana, and being stuck. Got the Three of Wands crowning it, right? So this is coming out the other side of all of this, and this is about beginning a new journey. This is very confident energy. It's kind of feeling like you now feel that you're on the higher ground, right? You're beginning the journey of integrating that, of moving away. You're starting a new cycle. And there's a beginning of understanding, of knowing that you're protected because there's armor here. It's very empowering, the Three of Swords. Now, for the energy of this moon, what's being downloaded into your vessel that will unfold over the next 6 months? Ace of Wands, King of Pentacles, the Guru, which is the Hierophant. This card is not making that same symbol. In fact, it's the peace symbol. Got the Star, Aquarius, and the Nine of Cups. Very different vibe. So this is the renewal. This is the relight my fire, right? That Leo energy, that spark of life, that vitality, that vibrancy coming through, the real strength of knowing that you've started a new journey, and then this full moon is bringing in a refreshing new energy. Itani matufa, that is facilitating this. Ishani modi, because you've already laid down the groundwork. We've got the King of Pentacles, brilliant for the 10th house of life purpose and career, right? So the King of Pentacles is able to take action to facilitate abundance. It's very grounded, it's very mature. There's a real sense of strength, again, also protected. So you've got one arm and one foot covered in armor, of just being confident within your own authority of how you move forward in the world. We've got the Guru, the Hierophant, Taurus energy. Talking about that wisdom that I said, of being able to bring that into people's lives on a one-to-one basis. Ishana Monulfa, whatever your career and life purpose is, that can show up as a long-term committed romantic relationship, that can be dealing with people on a one-to-one basis at work, and then facilitating that through your life purpose. There's a real sense of you now know yourself. Ina Morisha, you have confidence within yourself and wisdom, and you are able to share it. There's an element of peace here rather than pain, right? You've come the other side of that Ten of Swords, you're able to then sort of rise above it, understand the journey that you've been on, and see the blessings within it. Got the Star card and the Nine of Cups. The Star card is, you know, that Aquarian energy. It's very, she's very unique. She's very independent, of really embracing your uniqueness, being able to hope and dream again. And also star recognition. There's an element of recognition coming in here, of what it is that you bring to the table. Hopes and dreams, being able to facilitate them and activate your life purpose. Nine of Cups. This has been quite, I don't know whether it's been in every sign, but most of them. So this is, yes, it's the wish fulfillment, right? So there could be a wish that's going to be coming in that will unfold, this sense of feeling good within yourself, but that then manifesting into a wish. But the way that I focus on this card is, this is internal embodiment of gratitude and abundance, of seeing things differently, of seeing things from a space of joy and love rather than a betrayal. Such a shift of energy. Now, for how this all manifests moving forwards, what a great combination of cards for the first and all the first, 4th, 7th and 10th. We've got this Nine of Pentacles. So we've got 2 9s and we've got 2 3s. We've got the 4 of Pentacles and then the 3 of Cups. The 9 of Pentacles, very independent energy. She knows what to do in order to bring in that abundance that King of Pentacles is activating, that is going to serve you in the long run, right? So this can mean saying no to things and doing what it is that you know you need to do in order to bring about abundance. But overall, it's saying what's coming through in terms of your life purpose and your career is giving you a sense of ease and flow and independence. It's very abundant energy. You see here, similar vibe to the King, right? He's got the grapes on the cloak and the grapes are in the background. So they've gone from being on the clothes. So like sometimes with manifestation, we want to imagine how we feel connecting to them, right? Or wear certain colors that are linked into that. And now they've turned into reality. And it's come with the 4 of Pentacles, which I said earlier was about holding on to the 10 of Swords, and this is about your own inner sovereignty, right? Then your power within yourself, your strength of how you feel in the 3D realm, extending out into the world. Now there's such power with this card. And you've got the peace symbols underneath the feet chakra, the heart chakra and the crown chakra. Thinking about that guru with the peace symbol of bringing peace into your physical vessel. Strengthening that strength of foundations with that Pluto transit. And then this moon bringing in this beautiful activation of you feeling good about where you're headed, feeling good about your career and how visible you are. But also not letting difficult energy get to you. Crowned with the 3 of Cups. This is flow. This is abundance. This is being with others and being celebrated and celebrating each other. This is abundance. Look at all those grapes again. And just real beautiful harmony energy. So in terms of visibility, in terms of your career and your life purpose of generally being in flow and also being celebrated, and sharing that abundance, and just generally feeling good about where you're headed and what you're doing. Right, let's get some qualifiers for you, Scorpio. Oh, Justice. So this has happened a lot in this transit with this deck of repeat major arcana. This is decisions, evidence, thinking, verdicts. Evidence. Okay, so it's calling to look to the evidence around you, right? That will help you transition into this new space. Because so often with that 10 of Swords, we can get stuck in a loop of seeing it over and over and over again. And what this, the fact that Justice is shown up here and again is saying, want to be able to see, you're going to be able to see things clearly and see reality. cut the deck and got the Emperor. Order, logic, stability, plans, right? Things being put into action, that plans are manifesting. Ishane Monufa, confidence within yourself, right? The Emperor is very independent. There's a lot of wisdom here, right? It's not going to get it's not going to be stabbed in the back. It's not going to be affected by these things. It's just going to be able to keep doing what you need to do. Cut the deck again and got the Chariot. Drive, determination, ambition, emotional control. You're heading into a space where you're confident in yourself, right? You understand the resources around you. You understand how to embody yourself and how to share that and enjoy your 3D experience. Empress at the bottom of the deck. Development, growth, abundance, productivity. Again, re-enhancing this fact of, Venus is making sure you're committing to finding the joy in your day-to-day, right? And it's those little things that we focus on that can then reverberate out into the bigger picture. I felt inclined to cut the deck again. Got the death card, got your card, Scorpio. Change, suspension of consciousness, new life reborn. Ishan, they're focusing on new life. There is new life coming through and new mentality around it. Ishana moduma, ishatina maritina madina, midani madina. Change. Itufini marichano modufa. Itina mofa chane maritine. Now, the Emperor card has shown up in a fair amount of readings, and I'm just flagging it because there is stuff going on in Aries that I haven't mentioned in the readings. It's in the collective reading that is bringing about liberation and big change to help us get into our individual self and operate from a space of autonomy. That isn't meaning that we're in combat mode. Remember, the Emperor is wise. It finds solutions beyond combat in order to have an empire, right? It's making me think healing. It's making me think of the Roman Empire, and yes, they did, obviously expand and have conflict, but after the conflict they incorporated other cultures. So there's this sense of, rather than saying you have to be exactly how we are, they're sort of acknowledging, okay, no, let's bring in all these different flavors. It was Rome was built through immigration and honoring different perspectives. Obviously there was an element of tyrannical energy, and they did sort of manipulate sacred sites and gods and goddesses into their own pantheon, and you kind of had to sign up to that, and if you didn't, you were thrown to the lions. But we can see, like, the empire was that big because they had that energy of, let's just everyone just chill a little bit, let's make space for different cultures, rather than trying to completely I was going to say brainwash. I don't mean brainwash. Indoctrinate everybody to be identical. I got karmic completion, forgiveness, really clearing out that big energy, communication, of really getting in command of how you express yourself. Ichanima, spiritual career. Let's leave it at that. So spiritual career can be any career that you find meaning in and find deep connection to. So whatever's going on here is activating an elevation of your career, of your life purpose, that is bringing deeper meaning, rather than this sense of betrayal and isolation and immobilization. Right, Scorpio, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want a personal reading, check out my email address in the description box. Send me an email, let me know what you're looking for. I really like to tailor to the client, so we'll have a chat about it and we'll figure something out. Be good to yourself, Scorpio. Be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again.